Hello, travelers. How are you going? It's Bridie here, the co-founder of Wild Vegan Travel, and I am here today. Are you hearing me? Yes, you are hearing me. I'm here today to do a quick little YouTube live to talk a little bit about zero waste travel. So if you have any questions at all, then please come and post them in the comments there, and I will answer them, or at least comment on them. We all know that. I think we all starting to really realize that travel does have a lot of negative impacts. Indeed, just living has a lot of negative impacts. And when we travel, when we're outside of our routine, when we're going to places we don't usually go, even the best of us who are really environmentally conscious and aware, they can really get out of their routines. They might be traveling in places where they don't know what to do. So certainly, like with everything in life, it's a really good idea to be prepared. So I wanted to today talk about some things that you can pack on your holiday, on your vacation, to really help with the amount of waste that you create. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is a reusable water bottle. Now, of course, I think for most of us, this is an absolute no-brainer. I think we're all very aware of the problems regarding single-use plastic water bottles, and I think everyone is getting on board with this in our own countries, particularly in places where there is potable water. It's very easy to fill our water bottles. However, it is really an issue when we go to places where there is not potable water. Very often in a lot of places, that we don't know that the water is potable or not, so we have to make sure that we are drinking potable water. And there are a few things that you can do. First of all, you can take your regular water bottle, and it's becoming, like, I've spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia, and it's becoming more and more known now that, you can, often there's places where you can actually go and fill up your water bottle. There's lots of apps and various things that you can download to find out places where you can refill your water bottle, which is fantastic. A lot of the time in restaurants, they aren't washing vegetables with non-potable water, and they're not using bottled water either. Rather, they're using big gallon drums. So very often you can ask restaurants to fill up your water bottle, and you can, show them a picture of the big gallon jug. And I think it's a nice gesture to offer to pay for filling up a water bottle. There's a little bit of labor involved in going and sitting and doing this, and every time, especially in a cheaper place, that every time you ask for your water to be refilled, it means they're not making the sale from that bottled water. So I always recommend doing that. Another alternative is to use a product like this. This is a product that actually cleans water for you. There are a couple of brands on the market now. This one I haven't used for a while, so it doesn't, it's not charged, but basically it's a water bottle. The capacity is about 500 milliliters, or about 1 pint, which is quite small, but it actually doesn't matter because you can refill it as much as you want. So for example, this one, you put the non-clean water in, you press this button twice, and then you agitate the water gently for the next 3 minutes, and then you have clean water. So while the expense of these, this one in particular is called Lark. There's another one that's called the SteriPen, which is like a wand, and you clean the water that way. Definitely, these are really cool things. Obviously, they are expensive, but it's a one-off investment, assuming you don't lose it. So you can see here, I have my email address on the bottom. It's been engraved with my name. I'm going to really take care of this thing, and hopefully it will last me for many, many years. I did a little bit of the sums. This costs about $100, and I did a few of the sums, and I found out that that if I was going on a long 2-month trip in a place where there was non-potable water, this would pay for itself in that just one trip. So this is definitely a really good thing to have. That particular one is called Lark, and SteriPen is another, the wand one that I was talking about as well. So another thing, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer these days, but a reusable straw. This particular one is a glass one. You can obviously get ones that are made out of bamboo, or, you know, a plastic one. Maybe you can find a secondhand one of those. But of course, a straw is a handy thing to take. Sometimes I don't end up even using the straw. I really like to just sort of like say, I find out what the phrase for "please don't give me straw," and then I'll show the picture of my straw, and I feel that really, really impresses on the server that you have that you don't want a straw. And then if I don't need a straw, like I'm not drinking a smoothie or something with ice, a lot of ice, like a cocktail or something like that, I just put it straight back and just drink out the glass. But I do think that this is kind of a really good idea. As well. And I have a little straw cleaner as well, because of course, you know, I would be cleaning it in the bathroom of the restaurant that I was at, or back home in the hotel room. So that is something that I really like to carry. Another thing that I like to carry is an insulated go-to cup, like a takeaway coffee cup, something that's metal, something that's not going to break. I don't know about you, but when I'm traveling, depending on where I'm traveling, I do like to have a fill up my coffee before I leave the breakfast place, so that I've got coffee for a couple of hours on the go. And that is a really great thing to do. I always like to have a little vegan sticker. I don't have it with me right now, but I often find, like, if I have like stickers and vegan things on there, you would be surprised at how that helps you meet people. Like, if you have vegan stickers on your water bottle, on your notebooks, on your laptop, all of these kinds of things, you actually make friends. And I can illustrate this really well for you. When I was in Singapore and I was with some friends and we were staying in a hotel, and I left my coffee to go mug on the table while I went to go and get some more hash browns or something like that. And when I came back, a man introduced himself to me, and he was actually the owner, along with his wife, of Vegan Food Quest, which is a vegan travel blog. And since that time, we have become friends and collaborated on a few fun little things together. So not only does having stickers help you make friends, but they also make your thing that you have a little bit more unique. Labeling them is a really great way to help them get back to you if you leave them somewhere. So that's just a little bit of a tip there. Wow, this is going to become a long video. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay, quick. Another thing that I like to have is some sort of cup. This was my coffee cup, and this is an enamel cup. So we actually get cups printed, or depending on the location that we're taking our clients, we'll find something that will be useful and helpful. In this case, this was from our CPG trip to Paris and Alsace. And if you know about that, you'll know that as part of Christmas trips, going to Christmas markets, you'll be having mulled wine. And what better way to have your mulled wine but in your own personal cup, particularly for your trip. So enamel is a really great option because it's not plastic. And as far as I know, it's a really great option. Let me know if there's any issues with enamel in the comments. But it's not easy to break. The ceramic, I think, that's covering it can chip. So, you know, don't take your best enamel cup. But, you know, it's really nice to drink out of. And I would recommend this. This can be really good to have in the plane so that you are not using, the plastic cups in there. You can just keep this there and they can just be filling up the water on here, even though that's usually bottled whatever. This is when you get your lark bottle and you fill that up from the bathroom, and then you can clean it, and then you can put it in here on the plane. So that's just a little trick there. So yeah, I really like to have a little cup. It's helpful for picnics. It's helpful for, sunset wine drinks, wherever you are. It's just a really great thing to have. So that's something else that I recommend. Another thing, it seems like a really silly thing, but my goodness, I use them so much. It's just an old tea towel. An old tea towel is just fantastic for wrapping things up, for wrapping dirty things up, to use as a picnic blanket, to use as something to sit on, to like if you're having to wash up utensils in the room, you can just lay this out, and then your utensils can be drying. It's very easy to just wash it clean. You can, for a long trip, you can pop it in with the washing, with your laundry, and you can clean it. It's just a really fantastic thing to have. It takes up very little room. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so that's another cool thing. Another thing that I really recommend that you bring is some bags as well, like a couple of tote bags. Here is one. This was a gift from one of our travelers. This is part of her organization that's based in Canada, and this is kind of a nice one. This one has a zip, as you can see. Oh, I can't do it up, but this is a fantastic bag to have. It's good for anti-pickpockets, that kind of thing. It's made of canvas, which is great, but I actually recommend taking a couple of tote bags. Maybe one of them being sort of like, if you happen to have it, like don't go out and buy one of these, but if you happen to have it, like a nylon kind of one. I don't have one close by to show you, but a nylon one could be really, really helpful. And the reason why I like that is I often like to go and do a little bit of picking up of litter. I also have like a glove to do this as well. I try. I can definitely work in this area, but for just on my morning walks when I'm in a place, to take my glove and to take my nylon bag, and then just do 10 minutes of picking up litter, and then just dumping it in the hotel trash or in the recycling if need be, particularly in areas like by beaches where plastic can be washed in and then washed out again, or so I really recommend taking a couple of tote bags for shopping, for packed lunches, but also for picking up rubbish. Another thing that's really helpful, of course, I don't think it's that new and that exciting, is utensils. This is actually a little example of a pack that we give our travelers depending on the region that we're going. We don't give our travelers something that we think is not going to be useful, but in France, for example, we do have some picnics and we eat on trains, so we actually give them this. Now, this has actually been a friend of mine made this. She makes them for us, and she's from the Philippines, and she's an amazing seamstress / tailor, and she actually made these out of fabric remnants. So we're trying to put like materials that would otherwise end up in a landfill or end up in someone's cupboard for a really long time. We're trying to turn them into these beautiful little cutlery wraps. Of course, we've got the bamboo cutlery there, and this here is another napkin that is also made out of fabric remnants. I don't know whether you can see, but they're little bits of fabric that have been like odd sizes that have been sewn together to make a bigger napkin. And of course, that's really nice to, if you're on a train, you can put that on your lap and or on the little table there and eat your sandwich, and you don't have to put your sandwich on the table, which might be not super clean. So I really recommend those things. Now, another thing that is often missed off of lists for zero waste travel is some Tupperwares, whether they are, the single-use Tupperwares, single-use containers, which I happen to have a few of at home, or something a little bit more like sturdy, something with a lockable lids. And they even have collapsible Tupperwares now, which you can find or ask for a gift or buy secondhand or borrow from somebody. And these collapsible Tupperwares are really fantastic if you're self-catering, or for picnics, or for buying foods in bulk. I absolutely recommend that you give those a try. They are fantastic to have around, and I'm always really surprised at just how much I use them. So those are really kind of like the kitchen-y things. I just also want to talk a little bit about toiletries as well. I don't have any here to show you, but I think everyone thinks about the bamboo toothbrush now. Having bar soap or shampoo bars and a little tin to keep them in is a really fantastic idea. A menstrual cup for menstruation. If you've never tried those before, then I really recommend that you, and you're interested in trying them, I really recommend that you have a good try out of them before you go on your trip, because, you know, you want to be familiar with them before you're going into places where toilets might be a little bit differently, or you might be in the countryside behind a tree or something like that. So they're like my little tips. Now, something that I think can be really helpful is Google Translate. So if I just get my Google Translate up here, translate. Okay. All right, so here is my Google Translate. Now, you can see here, these are things that I have translated recently. And what you can do is you can put in some phrases that you think might be helpful, like no straw, please. Do you have any water that's not in a drinking bottle? Or I'm happy to pay for that bottle, something like that. You can enter those in advance, and then you can actually star those phrases so that they're very easily accessible. Another thing that I recommend you do is to also download languages in the country that you're going, so that it doesn't matter if you don't have internet access where you are, you absolutely can still you know, access this and use Google Translate. So this is kind of a really, really handy thing to have. I definitely would recommend that. And another thing is, I don't have it on my computer right now, sorry, on my phone right now, is the photos of the Y. So what I like to do, particularly in places where I can't communicate well, I have often found that it's actually been a really great conversation starter. If I have some pictures of, you know, dead albatross with bits of plastic from their stomachs, or turtles with their necks caught in plastic bags, or straws, lots of straws and the damage they cause, all of those kinds of things. If I have those saved on my phone, you know, I try to be selective about when I do this, but actually it's really helpful to sort of illustrate why you don't want a straw. So my awlod, I don't want a straw, that's what you say in Thai, and then I might show a picture and like go, oh, it's so sad, something like that. And again, that can really reinforce the message. I'm not trying to insinuate that people in places like Thailand don't understand the danger of bags, of plastic bags or straws or anything like that. Indeed, there's some really fantastic work that is happening in Thailand to address these significant issues. I mean, it's a significant issue all over the world. But I think a photo speaks 1,000 words. And when you can't speak 1,000 words in a country that you are visiting, then this is really, really helpful. So I think that is pretty much all I want to share for now. As I'm doing this, I realize I've got quite a lot to say about this. So perhaps I'm going to do another video or a blog post or a podcast on this. I have a podcast, by the way, where I talk about vegan travel. We have our tours at World Vegan Travel as well. So yeah, I really hope you can check those out as well. All right, thank you so much for joining me, and subscribe so you see when we put out any other videos. Bye.